Okay, we will apologize for the disconnection. We will continue from where we are. So just a quick recap. So we had set up our Comstore Smart VSU driver to the IP connected to the middleware. Then after that, we set the specific folder that the PDF will be saved into. And then we considered to set the test mode on and the log mode on. Then after that, we proceeded to add a new product that we'll be using for today's test. Then after that, we went to later selecting the invoice that we'll be using to map and sign for today's training. So let's proceed from here. So we'll first create the document type, which is an invoice. Then you select the VSU and the printer. Now note, for this printer that we select over here, this is after the QR has been appended and the invoice number details. So our system will directly send the print job to the printer that you select over here. So currently we will select it as none. Then after that, we'll proceed to set the QR position. Over here, and after that we'll proceed to select the document fields that exist. So now we'll start with the document pin. Document key, where we'll map the pin that we'll be using. Then after that, we'll select the invoice number. After we select the invoice number, we'll proceed to select an invoice describe. So the invoice describe is what will differentiate this invoice and other templates that are coming. So this being an invoice, we'll just select the keyword invoice that will act as a invoice describe. Then after that, we have the item name. In this case, we'll select this description as a quantity name. Then we'll head along and select the product itself. Then after that, after the item name, we'll go to the sales price. After the sales price, we'll head to the sales quantity. Now, as you might have noticed, there are I was saying there are very many fields or options that we set based on what you can map to the system. So some of them will have a relevant invoice number. This shall be used when you're making a credit note. So if this was a credit note, we'll select this value. We have an exemption number for those who are also dealing with exemptions in their product. And there also is pin of buyer. So for those who are selling with the pin of buyer, then you can map this as a field that exists. There is also barcode. Also, there is different fields for different tax categories that you can choose. Now, for this case, we'll choose a 16% value. Now, for this case, the 16% value will just entail the tax amount, which is 16%, and its value. Then after that, you select the tax amount, which is 16%. You will head along and select the next total, which will be the untaxed amount for this invoice and the value. After that, you'll select the total gross. This will be the total gross for it. And after that, you have mapped all necessary fields that are required for integration. So once that is done, you set all the fields, everything is set accordingly. You can now begin setting up the system to communicate with both systems. Now, we normally introduce there are different tools that you may use to complete the integration. So one of them might be PDF creator that will act as a virtual printer for the system. The other that you can use is something like Qt PDF, and what it does is just that it acts as a virtual printer. And once on the POS you press print, instead of the print job going straight to your hardware printer, the print job will be saved using autosave to the specific folder that our system is listening on. So, for example, we can go ahead into the folder where it is located. You can find the location of that folder through at VSU settings and at U in PDFs and for sign. In this case, we have PDFs, then we have the for sign folder. Now, this for sign folder is where PDF creator or Microsoft Save to PDF. What it's just will be doing is saving all the receipts in soft copy form to this folder. So we'll go ahead the current invoice that we were mapping, and then we'll go ahead and once you've saved it to this folder, you can head here to logs and you can press start. I will set this here to for you to observe how once the PDF soft copy has been saved to this folder, our system will automatically pick that, and if anything that is not of the ordinary occurs or it fails, it will tell you the exact reason, and also it will definitely state the invoice number that caused this error. Now for the current invoice, you can see it says invalid document file, which would lead to either the PIN was not mapped correctly. So we'll go ahead and stop the task, then go ahead to sign rules, where we will remap the document key. Okay, then I will reduce a few the scale so that we can also all have a good view. So after we set everything, we can go ahead and apply. Then after that, we will try our receipt again. As you can see, mapping the first led us to now our system picking the right products that are there. So now you need to note that this is done only once. So you'll only be training the system once. After that, it will be automatically picking the all details that are required based on the fields that you have set. So we'll go ahead and give it a bit more space on all the details that we selected. Just a moment. Then we'll remap the price. Then after that, we'll remap the quantity. Then after that, we can add a sale amount, which I've noticed was not there. And with that being said and done, you have now mapped a successful receipt and passed it through the system. So once you see this message, just know that the QR has been created successfully and it has been appended. You can go head over to operations. This is why I was telling you that once you've already started signing receipts, you will get a brief description or breakdown for the reason at which the receipt failed to sign and where it was saved. So for the first one, the first reason was invalid document file, which was pertaining the document PIN. Now, if you might have noticed, it was saved onto a non-fiscal folder, which meant that the receipt was a problem. Now, the second one was a get sign failed, and in this case, it was caused by uh, not accurately mapping the required fields for it. After successfully remapping all the required fields based on the receipt details, then that is when you'll have a perfectly signed document. From here, you can reprint this invoice however long or however later that you require. This one was a non-legal invoice where you have the tag non-legal and also the QR that is appended at the location that was set. Do not worry if it looks as though the QR is out of place. This is because this is an illegal invoice. But once you sign a receipt that is live, it will be sent. Something else to note is that when signing a receipt, if an invoice number has already been signed, then it cannot be re-signed again. So when you're mapping invoice number, just make sure it is an incremental value in this case. Now, if you want to switch off test mode so that what you have is a legal invoice, then you go ahead and stop, then head to VSU settings, then head to other where you can turn off test mode and save configurations. Once you've turned off test mode and save the configurations, you can go back to the logs and then repaste the receipt. Now, for this will be covered when you're emulating a live integration. So you'll be using PDF Creator, and then you'll be heading to their POS system. Then once you press print receipt or tender or enter, then after that, using the virtual printer, it will be saved on this folder. Then after that, you can start. Then as you can see, we have a signed receipt, and we can head operations, and we can observe it. As you can see, this is a non-legal invoice, and now this is a legal invoice that has been signed currently, and all the data that was required has been set. So that is everything that pertains our Comstore Smart VSCU in terms of integration, in terms of setting up both systems to communicate. That is all there is to entail for the whole system. So if you have any questions, right now will be a good chance to ask them in regards to any of the sections that I've covered. So is there anyone with a question? Okay. With no questions at the moment, I will just do a recap of the whole system. Then after that, we can call it until next time that we meet. So on a new system of integration, we have different modules over here. The first module is operations. Operations will give you a breakdown of what is currently happening in the system in regards to signing of documents or the integration in general. So for documents that you sign through the system, you will get a list of unsigned documents and the reasons that it has failed to sign. So you do not need to worry about losing track of documents that have not been able to sign. Then over here, we have a breakdown of all receipts that are being signed by the system, which also gives you the ability to reprint receipts regardless of the time frame or the time that you have. All receipts are saved based on the day that you signed them. Then further to that, all documents are saved based on the invoice number that has been signed. So you will notice that on this folder, on the signed folder, we have a folder which is the date, which is now currently today. Then after that, you'll find the document saved based on if it was non-legal or it was original. Original means it was a receipt that was signed in live. Then you have the invoice number that was set. So you can reprint receipts at any given time. So that covers the operations. On the log module, this is where you'll be able to see what is happening during validation. Once a receipt is picked, then validation will start happening. Price is selected, amount is selected, the product name is selected. Then you'll go down as it breaks down everything. Then finally, once everything is set as okay, a QR will be appended on it. Then it will generate the QR and then send the document with the QR to the printer that you selected. That pertains to the logs. VSU settings, this is where you manage connection with the middleware. So you can either have it as a COM connection or a UDP connection. UDP connection is either through Wi-Fi or Ethernet. Then you'll have a remote IP address that you can use to test connection with the middleware. We have various submodules where, such as the VSU registration, where it shows the branch ID, the device serial number, and also the PIN that you've been registered under. We have sign message settings that you can be able to see. We have the folder settings where you can adjust the folders to where you want the specific documents to go. Then we have the other subsection where you will be able to set whether you will want to do test mode, log mode, copy mode, or even retry to sign the list of unsigned documents. We have the sign rule section where you'll be able to map the fields that are required within the receipt so that the system can know where exactly to pick which particular data. Then we have items management, where this is where you can manage your invoices, your items, your stock, your purchases, your customers, everything that items holds. Then we have the report section, where you can remove a Z report, X report, and FM report. You can also select a printer where you want the report to be outputted as. You can get the summary or the details for these various report and also filter them based on date. And then finally we have the exit button and the start button or stop signing button. Currently it is off, but once you do this, the system will be actively listening for a receipt. Any receipt that you paste over here, it will be picked automatically by the system and begin signing. So that is generally how the system works. As you can see, it disappeared. It was picked by the system. Then after this, if you look at logs, you'll be able to see that it was signed successfully. So that covers everything in regards to our Comstore Smart VSU integration. I will wish you well a good day. For any questions that you may have, feel free to contact us through our numbers and our social media handles. It has been a pleasure having you all in this meeting, and we shall see each other in the next meeting. Thank you. In case you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask as we wind up.